Some breaking news out of the NFL. Hall of Famer Larry Allen has died. In a statement, the Cowboys said that Allen died suddenly on Sunday while vacationing with his family in Mexico.
55 on the top 100 greatest players.
The truth about Larry Allen's death is something that shocked the entire football world, but the real story isn't dark at all. It's about a man who survived things that would have destroyed most people and became one of the greatest to ever play the game. On June 2nd, 2024, the sports world stopped when news broke that Pro Football Hall of Famer Larry Allen had died, suddenly at just 52 years old. He was on vacation in Mexico with his wife Janelle and their 3 children, Jayla, Loriana, and Larry III, when the unthinkable happened. The Dallas Cowboys, the team where he spent 12 legendary seasons, announced his passing, and immediately tributes started flooding in from everywhere. Troy Aikman, the quarterback Allen protected for years, called him a Hall of Fame offensive lineman who dominated opponents regardless of position. But what really stood out was when Aikman described him as a gentle giant who loved his family. Emmitt Smith, whose rushing records were built behind Allen's blocking, posted a tearful video saying he was at a loss for words, calling Allen a superperson and a great player. Here's what makes people curious. Neither the Cowboys nor Allen's family ever released an official cause of death. That silence naturally led to questions, especially when you consider that Allen was a 335-pound athlete who spent his entire career absorbing punishment in one of football's most brutal positions. The conversation about long-term health issues in former NFL players, particularly those in high-impact positions, makes every sudden loss feel more urgent. But the family's choice to keep those details private should redirect our focus to where it belongs, on the incredible life Larry Allen lived and the impossible obstacles he overcame. If you want to understand true strength, you need to know where Larry Allen came from. His story starts in Compton, California, which in the 1980s was one of the toughest places in America. We're not talking about a rough neighborhood, we're talking about a war zone. Allen and his mother spent countless nights lying flat on the floor, holding each other, praying they'd survive another gang-related shootout. Bullets didn't just pass through his neighborhood occasionally, they monopolized his childhood. Every single night was about basic survival. When you grow up like that, football pressure becomes nothing. Fourth quarter, championship game, million people watching? That's easy compared to wondering if you'll wake up tomorrow. The mental toughness Allen developed just trying to stay alive gave him something no coach could ever teach. He learned to compartmentalize fear, to stay focused when chaos erupted around him, to protect what mattered most. And speaking of protection, that became his defining characteristic way before he ever stepped on a football field. When Larry was just 10 or 11 years old, he saw a 12-year-old neighbor threatening his younger brother. Without thinking, without hesitation, Larry stepped in. He took 12 stab wounds to his head, shoulder, and neck, protecting his brother. 12 times a blade cut into this child's body, and he absorbed every bit of that violence to keep his brother safe. Those scars stayed visible his entire life. When NFL teams examined him before the draft, they saw those pronounced upper body scars and had to ask what happened. That's who Larry Allen was at his core, a protector. Someone who would take any amount of pain if it meant keeping others safe. And that's exactly what he did for 14 years as a professional offensive lineman, taking hits, absorbing punishment, protecting his quarterback, and running back. Before anyone knew his name, before the Hall of Fame, before the millions of dollars, Larry Allen was going nowhere. He couldn't afford Pop Warner football as a kid. He failed to graduate from high school. He failed to graduate from junior college. At 19 years old, he was sitting on his mother's couch with absolutely no future in sight. It wasn't just that opportunities were limited. He couldn't even get hired at McDonald's. Think about that. The man who would become arguably the greatest defensive lineman in NFL history couldn't land a minimum wage job flipping burgers. That's how far down he started. Before we go further, if you're inspired by stories of people who refuse to give up no matter what life threw at them, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment telling us about someone who overcame the impossible. These stories matter. Football became Larry's rescue from complete destitution. He started at Butte Junior College from 1989 to 1990, then transferred to Sonoma State, a tiny school nobody paid attention to. But at Sonoma State, something impossible happened. Larry Allen, an offensive lineman, was named the Northern California Athletic Conference Offensive Player of the Year. That award almost never goes to linemen. It goes to quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, guys who score touchdowns and get highlight reels. But Allen was so dominant, so physically overwhelming that they couldn't ignore him. The stories from Sonoma State sound made up. One day, he showed up after driving 8 hours. Still in street clothes, minutes after arriving, he walked onto the basketball court and dunked two barehanded without a running start. A 335-pound man shouldn't be able to do that, but Larry Allen wasn't built like other humans. When the 1994 NFL draft approached, teams were interested but nervous. Small school player, injury concerns, those visible scars from the stabbing. They ordered a standard MRI to check his rotator cuff and overall structural integrity. That's when something hilarious and incredible happened. Larry Allen, at 6'3" and 335 pounds, was so massively built that he literally could not fit inside the MRI tube. The machine that's supposed to examine everyone couldn't contain him. The results came back inconclusive, not because something was wrong, but because medical technology couldn't measure him. His physical presence exceeded scientific equipment. This caused his draft stock to drop a bit. Teams couldn't get the medical clearance they wanted, so they had to rely on game film and gut instinct. The Cowboys watched tape of Allen literally launching a cornerback through the air and decided that was all the evidence they needed. They grabbed him in the second round, 46th overall. He was the first player ever drafted from Sonoma State and the 10th offensive lineman taken that year. Every team that passed on him regretted it. Once Larry hit the NFL, the legend started immediately. Reports say he could bench press 700 pounds and squat 900 pounds. Whether those exact numbers are perfectly accurate doesn't matter. Everyone believed he could do it, and that belief created fear. Opposing defensive players knew they were about to face a literal monster. Some would mysteriously develop flu symptoms in the days before playing Dallas. They called it the Larry Allen flu or Larry Allen-itis. Grown professional athletes would rather fake being sick than line up across from him. That's psychological dominance you can't coach. But the moment that defined Larry Allen's career, the play everyone remembers, happened during his rookie season in 1994. Troy Aikman threw a pass that got tipped and intercepted by Saints linebacker Darian Connor. Connor caught it and took off running toward the end zone. Interceptions by linebackers usually result in touchdowns because offensive linemen are too slow and too far away to catch them. Except Larry Allen wasn't like other offensive linemen. From a flat-footed stance at the line of scrimmage, this 335-pound giant exploded into a full sprint. He chased Connor for 50 yards. Connor had already run 56 yards total before Allen caught him, just 16 yards short of a touchdown. Broadcaster Dan Deerdorf shouted during the play, "This guy's got a rocket booster strapped to his back." Nobody could believe what they were seeing. A man that size should not move that fast. That play changed how people thought about offensive linemen forever. It proved Larry Allen was a genetic anomaly, someone who combined world-class strength with elite speed. Over his 14-year career, Allen played in 203 games and started 197 of them. He won Super Bowl 30 with the Cowboys, beating the Pittsburgh Steelers 27-17. He made 11 Pro Bowls, including one with the 49ers after leaving Dallas. He earned 6 straight first-team All-Pro honors from 1996 through 2001. He's one of only 3 Cowboys in franchise history with double-digit Pro Bowl appearances. The truly remarkable achievement is that Larry made both the NFL 1990s All-Decade Team and the 2000s All-Decade Team. Being elite for an entire decade is rare. Being elite for 2 consecutive decades is almost unheard of, especially for an offensive lineman. That position destroys bodies. The constant collisions, the joint damage, the accumulation of impacts should have ended his career much sooner. Instead, Allen bridged 2 complete generations of football, remaining dominant as the game evolved around him. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2013, quickly after retirement. He was named to the NFL 100th Anniversary All-Time Team. Every single honor a football player can receive, Larry Allen earned it. The kid from Compton who survived shootouts and stabbings, who couldn't get a job at McDonald's, who came from a school nobody heard of, became the standard by which all offensive linemen are measured. The contrast between Allen the destroyer on the field and Allen the family man off it made his story even more powerful. His teammates consistently described him as gentle, quiet, devoted to his wife and kids. The same hands that could bench 700 pounds held his children carefully. The same intensity that terrified defenders melted away when he was with his family. When Larry Allen passed away at 52, the world lost someone truly special. But if you're watching this video, take something away from his story. He proved that your starting point doesn't determine your ending point. He proved that trauma can be transformed into triumph. He proved that protecting others, whether it's your little brother in a dangerous neighborhood or your quarterback on the field, is the highest calling. He proved that being strong doesn't mean you can't be gentle. So before you go, subscribe to honor Larry's memory and drop a comment about what his story means to you. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that no matter how dark things look, greatness is still possible. Larry Allen lived that truth every single day, from the streets of Compton to the Hall of Fame. That's the real truth about Larry Allen, and it's not dark at all. It's inspiring.